Okay, so this is a super quick one. I actually just find that people find it super annoying, but I want to talk about basically how you can turn off the spelling recommendations in QuickBooks Desktop, along with basically build the dictionary for your company so you're not always getting basically those spelling mistakes. QuickBooks has an inherent spell check, which makes complete sense, and in most situations, 100% that's not annoying. The problem is when you have industry specific terms or acronyms, QuickBooks doesn't know that's a word that you spelt right off the bat, right? It goes, oh my god, you can't spell anything, and then you have to click through, I'm not kidding, like 900 spelling mistakes to get an invoice out. And that's just annoying. But also, you still want to be able to use that spell check. So, this is just a quick walkthrough of how to turn it off and how to make it more efficient so that you're not constantly clicking accept change, accept change, accept change. Alright, first let me show you what I'm talking about. So in the description, I just put in basically shorthand for integrated circuit. Nothing crazy, but now I'm going to go, okay, I just want to hit save, and I want to just get this out to the customer. Well, look at that. It's going, hey, you didn't spell any of this right. Just like Microsoft Word, I can do, I can have it replace it or I can have it add it. I obviously wanted to add it, and this will build my dictionary over time. Add. But let's say I had had 50 lines with all that stuff. Well, you're just clicking through, clicking through. So that can get a little bit annoying, right? And a little bit time consuming. So there's a few different things we can do to essentially speed up that process. So as always, with most of these things I bring you through, we're going to be going to our preferences. If you want to go to your navigation, you're going to go to edit and then preferences. In this left-hand navigation bar, there is an option called spelling. And this is where we can essentially make the changes that we need to speed it up, slow it down, whatever it should be, but to, suit your organization and what it needs. So before we get too much into it, I should say the my preferences for spelling is truly just my preferences. It does not affect anybody else. This is how your QuickBooks is going to run. There actually is no company preference section for spelling. So if you want this for other people's logins, you will have to get it set up for them. So the first option that you have is always check spelling before printing, saving, or sending supported forms. That's literally just, do you want spell check to run? I mean, I probably would want it to run. Because once you do build up that database dictionary, it really becomes more of a tool than a nuisance. Just like Microsoft Word, right? To turn it off, if you think about sending a customer, a $10,000 bill with spelling mistakes, it just feels unprofessional. I would recommend leaving it on and trying to speedline that building your database dictionary. So, what you can do is train QuickBooks, or, not train, just turn on the functions for it to ignore certain use cases. First is internet addresses. Anytime it sees a web link, obviously it's a spelling mistake. This is never going to be a word. But if you do use them for whatever reason and you do have them in any of your file types, well, QuickBooks will automatically jump over it when it sees basically, a URL link. Numbers. When QuickBooks sees numbers, it will skip over it if it's in one word. That is so important. To me, this is the big thing that makes spelling in QuickBooks way more of a tool than a nuisance. Because typically, what you're seeing happen is, in these descriptions, we are maybe referencing other part numbers on drawings or on bombs or whatever it should be, or maybe we're referencing revs, whatever it is. But what that means is that it's always going to show as a spelling correction. But if we're looking at part numbers, right, maybe we don't want to add that to your database dictionary because that's a lot of junk in there too if you really break it down. But what this will do is any quote unquote word, which is a bunch of character text, so be it numeric or alphanumeric together, will be immediately jumped over. So as long as there is a number in that quote unquote word, like QB 2001, QuickBooks will jump over it. I promise you. This, if you're in manufacturing, will make your life so much easier. I highly recommend turning it on. And to turn it on, all you have to do is check the box. All right, and our next three options are basically making it case sensitive of when does it check, when does it not check. First is if there's a capitalized first letter, like Intuit or a customer's name. If you are referencing customer names in, memos or descriptions, whatever it should be, maybe this is helpful. The only issue with this is if you choose to turn that function on for yourself, is you do have to be cognizant. So if in a lot of businesses, or not a lot of businesses, I just seen people who, for whatever reason, they capitalize a lot of random words and sentences. I really couldn't tell you why. But this would mean that this won't catch their spelling mistakes. Next is the all uppercase letters. You know what? This might be one that you want to turn on. However, some businesses also do use all caps on stuff. Again, not me, but I have seen it, right? I've seen it on drawings and stuff. I've seen it on invoices. Sure, does it sound like I'm getting shouted out? Yeah, but it is a thing. So, if you are a type of business that uses all uppercase letters, then this is not a function you want to turn on at all, right? Because it essentially would turn off spell check for you. Finally is the mixed use case. It's something like a QuickBooks. Essentially, it's going, okay, well, if there's multiple capitalizations, it's happening for a reason, typically because it's a noun, right? Therefore, I wanted to jump over it. This one, I don't really see any risk with turning it on, unless you have someone who is randomly capitalizing letters, and I really don't know what to tell you. But these top two, um, and for me, this all uppercase are super helpful for me because it's super useful. The capitalized first letter just doesn't work for me because all sentences begin with a a capital letter. So I wouldn't use it because if I misspell that first word in a sentence, then it's getting jumped over for me. So here is that database dictionary you keep hearing me reference. Anytime that you do that add function when it jumps up in that QuickBooks spell check, right, when it's going through that form, it gets added here. And this is what QuickBooks is going to go, hey, that's a word to me. I shouldn't spell check that, right? I shouldn't be giving a prompt. So over time, this will build, build, build. But if you are erroneously adding spell checked words, well, then this becomes kind of garbage for lack of a better term. So what you can do is clean it up. So if I go, you know what? This wasn't a word to me. I shouldn't have did that. My bad. I can do a check mark for delete. Then, okay. Now if I go back in, look at that, it's gone. Let's take it one step farther. Let's make an invoice that has that word on it just so we can see that prompt again. So we will do int circ. So we have to remember that int we do have in our database dictionary, circ we don't. So I should be seeing a spell check for this circ when I hit save. Look at that. Jumped right over the int and went, hey girl, what are you doing? Well, you know what? I was wrong. It should be in my database dictionary. Let me hit add. Perfect. Then if I go back over to my preferences, spelling, look at that. My database dictionary got updated. But yeah, that's how you can make the spelling work more for you than to be a complete nuisance for you. Is it perfect? No, right? I can't do a manual import of all the words that I want to put in my database dictionary. That would be super helpful, but over time it will develop as you add it, and it is a one-time add. Again, not perfect, but definitely better. And if you get in the forefront of doing those settings for when does spell check trigger, it will help. It will add value. And then it truly becomes a spell check and not a, hey, I've never seen that thing before from QuickBooks. Um, that's just something that I thought I'd share. To me, it's helpful. I don't know if it is to anybody else. But all right, if there's any questions that you have in terms of QuickBooks or I don't know anything that's just noisy in QuickBooks, feel free to leave a comment below and I can try to make a video on it. I'm not the best in the world, but I'm definitely clever. So maybe we could try and build something that can help you and your organization to just roll the pebble forward.